We
The
go.
L's and R's.
All right, folks. Welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm with James Gilliland. I think I did it right. I think I said it
Yeah.
right. From Assetti Ranch. Lots of strange stuff happening over there right now, folks. I got to tell you, and it all could mean what's happening and what's coming in fall. I talked to James last night on the phone. I go, man, we got to do a show on this because you sent me a video. First of all, thank you for joining me, but you sent me a video about these UFOs appearing over your ranch with Black Hawk helicopters, and I'm like, dude, this is wild.
Yeah.
So, what's going on? Thank you for joining me.
Boy, I don't know where to start. If you want me to start at the top down but we're in a huge shift right now. It's just on people have different names for it. The Great Awakening, the I don't know, everybody has a name for it, but it's like the source itself. I had a physicist on my show last night and we were talking about, and he calls it source intelligence. And the source intelligence is like coming down, pressing in, coming through all the councils. And there's all these high councils like Andromedan Council, Palladian Council, Arcturian, Orion. There's all these councils and they're all aligned. And then they're aligned with what we call the Galactic Federation and Space Force, and they're aligned with the White Hat. So that is all pressing in right now. It's coming in, and with it comes universal law, which is universal peace, brother, sister love, individual freedom, and prosperity for everybody. And that is going to be the law of the land. And everything that doesn't align with that is being revealed. And it's like karma is being amplified. Everything is being amplified. And
So, you told me there was like a quickening happening, and
yeah,
you know, I, you know, I want everyone to keep an open mind on this. So you live at your ranch where you're at, the mountain, is like a vortex, right? Or a
yeah.
portal that attracts this energy. It's a main node on the planet, one of the main nodes on the planet for this activity. And basically, just explain to my audience, what your ranch is known for, the mountain area, and what's going on there.
Yeah, basically, the government surveys show it's in what they call a purple zone. And so it's an area where the veils between worlds are very thin. It's a magnetic anomaly. And it also has a really long history of UFO activity going back to the Yakima tribe and then Kenneth Arnold, who saw the lost the ships, on Mount Adams. Like when they descended on the western slopes of Mount Adams, that's our front yard basically. So there's a long history of activity, but the veils are so thin there that it's very easy to communicate with higher dimensional beings. And we have beautiful photographs of like Mother Mary. We have Baba G, Ezekiel, all these higher beings that are showing up here that are some seventh dimensional beings on up, as well as all the other activity, the light ships, the spiritually and technologically advanced beings. And we also keep the land very clear of the negative ones. So there are negative ETs, and people don't want you to know about that. But there are some negative ETs that the way you get rid of them is with the positive ones or with the masters. You invoke them, Yeshua, which is Jesus's real name, or whatever. And there's techniques to clear them out and keep your home, your businesses, your land clear of these energies.
So, I always feel like my belief, my faith is in Jesus Christ, right? That's like my basis, that's my foundation. But I feel like, you know, it's much more complicated than that, or there's so much more to the story, right? And I feel
Yeah.
like in this heavenly realm, there's definitely something there, right? And obviously we cannot deny the fact that, on your ranch and other places like Crestone, Colorado, Mount Shasta, they seem to be hot spots, like a Wi-Fi hotspot of just this activity of
Yeah.
these things that are happening there. And there's no doubt also that our planet is going through some major shifts. There's been earthquakes, all kinds of things happening all over the place. And yes, you can say that that's always been happening, but they've been picking up in frequency. And I feel like humanity even is, we're on this trajectory of this quickening, of this shift, of this, we can feel the earth changing, humans are changing, AI, the whole thing's going so fast. And I can't help but think, it's almost like, and I told you last night on the phone, I was like, I just feel like I'm watching this matrix just either fall apart or materialize in front of me. It's just the weirdest thing. Like I'm stepping out of it and watching this whole
Yeah.
structure just fall apart. It's crazy. And there's an answer to that, right? This is actually, I mean, you're saying that the activity is picking up on your ranch, that more so now than ever before. You're seeing more things happen, and there's a reason for it, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Like as I was saying before, the source itself and all the councils, everything is coming in, and there's going to be a huge inversion. And all the prophecies talk about this, where everything is revealed, everything is accelerated, amplified, and the people that have been in self-service, doing harmful things to humanity and the earth, that energy is going to invert on them. And the people that have been doing, being loving and kind to people and in service to others, that energy is going to invert on them. And so it's going to be a,
So the karma, like whatever karma you have, is going to increase like what 100-fold or what? Like, because
yeah,
I go ahead.
exponentially. It's just going to keep growing exponentially until you own your stuff and raise your frequencies because we have to match the frequency of this shift because the whole earth is changing frequency and she's going to the next level. And if we don't rise to the occasion, we aren't going to make it, basically.
And I've always said this to my audience. I just feel like we're not going to be able to coexist anymore. We're
Yeah,
not going to be able
yeah,
to, there's certain humans here that are either demonic or mental illness, whatever you want to. I've been covering this on other programs, but there's certain humans here that are obviously operating on a different, completely different frequency, service to self. I'm around all those type of psychopaths in the sporting world, boxing,
yeah.
and even in the podcast industry. You even told me in the spiritual new age realm, there's tons of those people. They're all con artists. And I agree with you. Like I can't believe the people that I'm coming across. And now that I feel like I've shifted in myself and raised my frequency, I can spot them. I stay away from people now. Like I'm a hermit. I don't like to go out. I feel like in my awakening process, I don't want to be around anybody because I feel energies now, and I'm very, very sensitive to this. And this just started happening the last 7 years when I got sober.
Yeah.
So, I feel like, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody, but there's definitely something there where I'm feeling it in this awakening process. Um, are we coming to a time where there's going to be a cut and a slice and cut with this, and because everything already feels polarized? But are we coming into a pinnacle of time, like a pressure point or a climax where everything's just going to be cut and we cannot coexist with these energies anymore?
Yeah, there's going to be like a bifurcation of worlds, and there's a upward spiral, which those who live a spiritual life in harmony with each other and the planet, they're on the upward spiral, and there's a downward spiral, and those who are in self-service and they're acting outside of universal law, against humanity and the earth, they're on the downward spiral, and their karma is going to be accelerated and amplified. And so the two worlds are splitting right now, and everybody has different names for it. We're going to go to another timeline, or guys, there are fleets of.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, that's right. And it's basically that's what's happening right now. So we're splitting,
Will
and
we know it when it happens? Will it be like it never happened? See, that's what I'm confused
no,
on.
it's going to be exponentially getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and then eventually there's just going to be a flip where these other people just aren't in your life anymore. It's going to be two different
Well,
worlds.
there's already people that have exited my life, and
Yeah,
I'm not. I don't hang around certain people. I don't talk to certain people. I've done that on my own accord. I've done that on my own
yeah,
will and decision. But yeah, I've also noticed certain friends die that I was drinking buddies with. They all passed
yeah,
away. It's really weird circumstances. Really weird stuff has happened in my life where I notice the falling away. I call it.
yeah, yeah. And there's I've talked to a lot of people that are in the field that are authentic, and they talk about that. They said, I used to be invited to every party. I knew everybody. And then I started waking up and then they go, I'm down to like maybe 10 friends. And she goes, no, actually I'm down to, and then she's going, I think I have two friends. Right
Yeah.
now, I have two close friends and that's it. And that's what's going on right now is that people you'll come around and come back together with people who are on the same frequency as you, and the other people will just move out of your life. They'll move on.
I'm noticing that. And so what's happening on the ranch right now? I mean, you said the activities really picked up. What used to happen every few months is happening, you said daily now?
Yeah, we have just last night we were out, I had a large group out there, and we were passing around these night vision goggles, but you can see them with the naked eye anyway. But there are like fleets of ships flying over the ranch right now from every direction, and they're powering up and they're interacting. And everybody's just there's no fear. Everybody's excited, we're having a good time. And almost everybody's been out here, but nobody wants to talk about it. I've never seen anything like it because you have to stay within the controlled narrative or you're out of the system. And
Stay
so,
within the controlled narrative, meaning
well, you have to keep it in the past. You have to keep it nuts and bolts and still keep asking the question, do UFOs exist? Are they real? You can't go past that. If you get into the spiritually and technologically advanced beings and the spiritual side of contact, you're going to be 86th out of the system. All the conferences, everything, they're going to just toss you by the side because they're full of con artists and posers and people with stories that aren't really true. They're a little delusional. And they love that. They love keeping that box together. But if you really want to have real contact, it's an inner journey, it's a spiritual journey. And there are negative entities, reptilian and astral beings and negative grays that love the confusion. And a lot of these things have just turned into big reptilian F fests. So it's
right.
sad, but that's the way that's the direction it's gone. And a lot of it from the very beginning, the Rockefellers came in and created the Rockefeller Initiative, and all the top UFO people joined in on that. And that was the first part of the control narrative. And then other major dark money came in and took over a lot of the conferences and a lot of the documentaries and all that whole Hollywood thing.
So the UFO community's been completely taken over. I mean, we just
And
saw what happened.
usurped, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you see what's happened to David Wilcock. They went after him big time, and then he self deletes, which I don't know if that really came from him or he was taken out or energies just attacked him. But we
Yeah.
definitely know. And these people that they're putting up in the forefront, like certain people, like I have doubts about, and I don't want to name them, but maybe you will. But I'm just saying, like, there's certain people out there that I'm like, I don't believe them. When they're too
Yeah.
mainstream, I don't believe them. And we know, like right now, we are in the crosshairs of UFO disclosure, and it looks to me as if Trump's trying to get the truth out there, but he's being stopped maybe, or
Yeah.
held hostage, or like they don't want this. Because when you say the truth about UFO disclosure and what these things are, UAPs, the whole thing, that's free energy. That's spiritual liberation. That I mean, the door's open to everything and
Yeah.
and they want to keep us in this enclosed um I guess space of confusion, where we don't really
Exactly.
know the truth. We could just speculate because anybody who speaks any kind of truth, they get taken out, man.
Yeah, if we really knew our ancient history, I mean, before, like even Yahweh showed up around 1390 BCE, but there were 21 primordial gods, pairs that were here before that. And then the Anunnaki kings list goes back, I think, 432,000 years. That was the antediluvian group. And then there was the kings after that. And our real history goes back so far that it's beyond imagination. And they don't want you to know that. And they don't want you to know that you have the God spark within you that you can ignite and expand in consciousness and ignite into the full flame. You become one with the one consciousness, whatever you want to call it, the source intelligence, God, creator, great spirit. Everybody has a different name for it. But I mean, even Yeshua said that. He said, they will use my face and my name to gather the gold and build their temples.
Mm.
Temple is in the heart. And he kept telling everybody the temple's in the heart. So
I
that's what,
firmly believe that a lot of people, speak out against me and say, you need to go to church. You need to go do that.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
need to do anything. I'm in touch with my creator. I don't need to do anything you're telling me to do. I'm in touch with my creator. I know what feels true. And I'm in
yeah.
touch with the creator. I know every day I pray. I'm in touch all day long. Um, I have my reasons why I don't go to certain church. I go to church sometimes, but
Yeah,
a lot of times it just feels so
you
fake.
can. Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how to explain it other than that. It just feels fake.
I like kind of the Native American tradition. They said that we go to church every Sunday and they go to church. They're in church every day.
Yeah, yeah,
And
they're
they
always
said every
connected.
day is communion with Creator, and they see the Creator in all creation, and there's no divisions or separations, which is basically what was actually the real teachings of Yeshua.
So, I feel like we're coming into November, man. There's a lot of anticipated moves Trump's going to make, and I do see a divide coming, man.
Yeah,
The coming divide, right? What can you elaborate on that? I mean, is that what it's showing you with what's happening at your
yeah,
ranch on the mountain? What's coming, James? Because I think we all feel it, man. I do, and I just want people to really just listen to this because I had a long conversation with you last night about it on the phone.
mhm.
And to me, it makes sense. So are you telling me that you said something about a time LARP or something like that, that they're
Yeah,
trying to
yeah.
speed up the process? What's going on?
Well, they're doing time folds,
Time
and the
folds.
Palladians are mainly involved with that. And they always say the real God is with you to me, and I go, well, who's the real God? I mean, you've got the Greek gods, the Egyptian gods. You got,
The God
everyone
of everything,
has their
God,
has their gods, and they're very aligned with Yahweh basically,
Jesus Christ.
and yeah, and Yeshua and Jesus Christ and everything. They're very aligned with that. They have more respect and than most anybody I know. That it's like when you need to clear out the unseen negative influences, the reptilians and the grays. You really can't beat Jesus for that one, or Baba G is
Right?
another.
Jesus Christ beats everything.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
it's the trump card,
It's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the a lot of people have different understandings. They said, well, Yahweh was the wrathful God. And I go, no, that was, I'll just say it, Jehovah. I'll get hate mail on that. But there was a jealous, wrathful, genocidal God. And then when Jesus came in, he brought a new covenant, a new image of God, which is the all-loving, all-forgiving God. And
Well,
we
I mean,
get,
the Old Testament is like full
yeah.
of, getting Abraham to sacrifice his kids. I mean, it's just, and then Jesus brought this whole new message.
Yeah, he said no more sacrifices.
Right.
He said no more sacrifices to these sacrificial gods, the little g gods. He goes, drop it. And a lot of these major religions are still doing that. They're trying to sacrifice red heifers and build temples and bigger temples, and things like that. But the temple's within. It's not external. And that's the problem. But all the masters that are really enlightened talk about you go within and expand. You ignite the God spark into the full flame. You go within, make your own personal connection with Creator, and then live according to universal law. They have different names for it, the eight limbs of yoga, things like that. But I always break things down to their smallest component, and it's very easy to understand. And I always tell people you're either creating heaven on earth or you're not. You're
Right.
either in self-service or you're in service to others. It's really basic, and all this other stuff going on, all these con games and delusional and settling for one past life and then using that as a badge, all this stuff is just nonsense.
So let's get to this real quick. What I said, I mean, about the divide. And,
Yeah.
we're coming into November, a lot of activities picking up. Let's get back to that. Let's talk about that just for a second. So this activity, timefold. Explain timefold. What's happening here?
Okay, well, what happens is they fold time. And so let's say, for an example, let's say you're getting really close to full on World War III. And what they'll do is they'll fold time and go around it and we'll miss it. And then all of a sudden everything feels cool again. You go, what just happened? Like we were like on the edge. Everything was about ready to blow up. And we get right to the edge. And it's all that saying, there's going to be wars and rumors of wars and all that stuff. Don't get caught up in it. But they do these time folds and they're doing them. They used to do them about once every seemed like monthly, it used to be like years they would do a couple and then it became monthly and now it's weekly. And I think it's going to go to 2 or 3 days, but they're moving us ahead in time so we can skip a lot of the plans of the global elite that they have laid out for us and these other unseen negative influences that are running the show, they're moving us past that their timeline, and their whole agenda is just falling apart right now. And it's completely out of alignment with universal law. So everything is being amplified, accelerated, their karma, they're being revealed as to who they are, what their intentions are, all the stuff they've done in the past, all the depopulation programs that are still in place, the weather warfare, the chemtrails, everything that's all being exposed right now. And so all
It's,
that's going
I'm
to
very
impact.
surprised a false flag hasn't happened, and I don't know if it's the military, Trump's operation, or the help of these beings, or the spiritual side. What's going on here? But it looks to me like they're losing, man. Like they're
They,
losing.
they are. Yeah, they're done basically. We're going through the dregs of time right now. They already lost. But the you can't go up against these other forces. I mean, these other forces go all the way to the source, and they have warriors beyond your imagination. I talked about that earlier. They had this guy named Siobhan, who's head of their it's almost like a Jedi type thing, and they brought them in because they're trained. They're created for this, and this is going to sound crazy, but the Sivan looks like Superman. He looks just. I started laughing when I saw him. I go, "What's the deal?"
There's a
I go,
curl.
like, yeah, yeah. I go, "You look like Superman." He goes, "We're close. We're pretty close. We have pretty much the same abilities." So they don't. Most of the Pleiadians are very spiritual race. They don't like to engage in drama or warfare or anything that's not part of their reality. But they realize there is a necessity for a police force to deal with these other groups. And so now they've kind of taken off the gloves. There's no
Because
more.
if you let it get out of hand, it's going to affect everything.
Yeah, yeah, and they understand that. And so these wars have already been fought out in the Orion system and other systems. It's a big cosmic battle going on. It's multidimensional, and that's been cleaned up. And Earth is on the outermost corner of the Milky Way galaxy. We're out in the boondocks, and now they're coming here to liberate the Earth and get rid of these negative influences that are outside of
So this
universe.
is a galactic, what the Bible would call wars in the heavens, right? Or a,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
wow, man. So coming into November, obviously we're expecting Trump to sign some kind of national security emergency. There's supposed to be some moves coming in by probably October. Some saying September, but some of my guests feel October. What do you think? How does this all coincide with what you're seeing, in the
Exactly.
sky,
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like they're here. The ships are here. There's a galactic force that's beyond imagination, and they're flying right over the ranch. And that's the footage I'm sending you. There's just people are freaking out. They go, "Oh, look, there's one, two, three," and they get up to about 10. There's 10 ships. I'm viewing them right now, and that's just in the frame, that they're looking through. But there's so many.
Go ahead. Sorry. I
Yeah,
don't
they're powering up. They're coming in. They're powering up. They're saying hi to the people. And when they power up, you feel this energy move through you, and everybody gets real giddy and really high. It's like you can tell everybody's just having fun. I think Peter Slattery filmed this one. He's out of Australia.
Yeah. Do you want me to play the sound or,
Yeah, the sound's great because it gives you.
let
Let's
me,
go ahead and play that.
Yeah. Whoa, that is massive, man. Yeah.
what is it when they power up?
They're saying hi. They're like cheerleaders in the heavens. And they
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, yeah. And so
That's
they
so cool.
on my birthday, they come right over the ranch and just do a massive power up every time, and I get it on film. And
That is so cool. You want to play it again?
yeah, there's a
It's
lot of
massive,
them.
man. Nice. Yeah.
That's so cool. Wow. Like they acknowledge you, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. They come in and say hi, and they it's like dazzle duty. They come to inspire the light workers. Say, hey, we are here. We are real. We're here to help, and you're not alone. And help get us through these.
Wow. Like, so they're policing the planet.
Yeah, yeah. They're cleaning up. Um, Oh, Eugene, what's his name? Your friend that does the underground stuff? Gene
Gene
Decode.
Decode. Yeah.
Yeah, he's fully aware of all this stuff and all the things they're doing. And they actually came in and gave us technology to deal with the reptilians. And so we're on equal grounds with them. And they've been helping clean up all these underground bases and things like that. You know, the Greys and the rep in Orion system, there's an Orion Alliance, which are the reptilians, the negative Greys, and some insects and things like that. And then there's the Orion Council of Light, which is much higher, and they're the planetary liberators, and they're coming in to clean house. You know, so there's two aspects of Orion. The main wars were fought in the Orion system.
So let's get to this back to because we keep going.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's so interesting. The coming divide, November, everything that's coming.
yeah.
You told me on the phone you think this will be flushed out and done by November. I've talked to Juan on the phone and he says, "Oh no, it's just beginning November." But he's talking about the national security pause, the whole thing, and then some other things are coming in 2027. But can you explain from your perspective what you expect to be coming?
Well, with the time folds, everything's going to be quickened, and things are going to move really fast. And before people go, you know, Tuesday, everything's going to happen. You're all going to get your check in the mail and stuff. And I go, not yet, not yet. I kept telling them, you know, not yet. I said, these things are coming, but not yet. We're not ready because they have to clean out the negative side first. You know, what good would be giving $1 trillion to, you know, Hillary or those people? You know, it's like you don't want to. She's not even around anymore, but the you don't want them that money to go into the wrong hands, and so you want to go that money to go into the hands of the people that are working in service, you know, in service to others, and you know, really doing good work here, you know, that are coming from the heart. That's where you want that money to go. So they've got to clean up this other side first before they can release a lot of this abundance. So I kept
Do
telling.
you think the arrests happen probably this year going into next, or what's your thoughts on that?
I know there's a lot already happened. There's a lot of masks. You know, this is hard for some people to understand, but we've been cloning people for hundreds of years, basically. We've already been doing that stuff. But, you know,
Look at the celebrities that just pop up out of nowhere and they have completely different personalities. All of a sudden they're
yeah,
cooperating. They're in full cooperation. The ones that were rebelling and speaking out, all of a sudden they're just in a trance. Yes, they're doing
yeah.
everything. You know, ah, sorry, but what's going on here? I don't know. It's weird. You know.
It's theater. It's all theater right now. And it's the best way to look at it is it's a controlled narrative. So who is controlling the narrative? So sometimes the light side is controlling the narrative, sometimes the dark side is going back and forth. But, you know, in the end, God wins, basically. You know, it's like you're not going to stop this shift from happening. And we are going to go into 1,000 years of peace and heaven on earth and where people are behaving themselves. You know, we are moving in that direction, but there's a lot of weeding out that has to happen, you know.
So
And
but there's what's definitely quickening is what you're saying.
yeah, all the prophecies talk about that. They talk about a great reveal and the acceleration of karma, and nothing is hidden. And we go through this sorting out phase, and then, you know, the old world collapses, and then a whole new world takes its place, and we have 1,000 years of peace. And then we
Has
just,
this happened before on the planet? Because you look at the pyramids, you look at certain things, like there's been resets before, but it seems like we've lost every single one of those resets. Like it almost like
yeah,
we come to this place where we are right now and we lose. And it seems like maybe now we're winning. I don't know.
yeah, that's goes back to the genocidal little g gods, you know, that were pulling these nonsense back there, but they're not in control anymore. And they can't do that, you know. So now everybody needs to make their own personal connection with Creator. We don't need a go-between. We don't need to worship these external sacrificial gods. And that God spark is in everybody. We need to ignite it, you know.
And
And
that's why this old guard is going to come down because they worship the lowercase gods, the lowercase g.
yeah, they're doing the, you know, the sacrificial God. I don't know if I should go in there, but you know, if you go into Zionism or the Muslim, you know, the clerics, the radical
Yeah.
clerics there, Well, that whole game, because they have them, then they have the infidels, or them and the goyim, and they're going to be their jealous, wrathful, genocidal God is going to show up, and then they're going to be put in charge of the whole earth. And both of those are coming together to come into a head, and they'll probably cancel each other out. But
So do you go ahead? Sorry.
yeah, but that's where we're moving into, that because the bottom line, the creator's omnipresent within all creation, and whatever you do to anybody, you do to yourself or you do to God. And so all these other I'm special, I'm above the rest, all these games that are being played, even in the UFO community, there's people that are saying I'm in the fifth dimension, and in the third dimension, they're totally ripping everybody off and flying,
Yeah.
and I go, sorry, that, creator doesn't care, that all that's going to come back, all ill-gotten gain is going to be lost. And all the prophecies talk about these times. I mean, it even goes back to the Anunnaki prophecies and the Native American prophecies and the, biblical prophecies. They all talk about this, this, this shift that's happened. I call it the big inversion, where everything comes back through. So everything you put out is going to come back through. And that happens when you cross over. Same thing. You have a light review and you have to feel everything you've done to others, good and bad. And so some people it's great, some people it's not so good. And it depends, And basically, if you're just a nice person, you're fine. Just be kind and loving. That's all you have to do. You don't have to be a rocket scientist
Yeah.
or anything else. Just be. That's the answer to universal law is like the answer to everything. And if everybody got on board, and dropped their external gods and went within and made their own personal
Stop
connection.
worshiping power and ego. That's what it
Yeah,
is. Power and ego, man.
it is. It is. And unfortunately, that, I told people, I said, I have no idea how much power there is in being nobody, you know?
So true, man. Like I had to lose my ego with boxing.
Yeah.
That's a
Well, I
sport.
watched one of your
That's an ego
matches.
sport right there. That's the biggest ego
I
you.
watched one of your matches. I forget, he was the giant guy that
Yeah.
you,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, Goliath.
Yeah. Yeah. I watched that. I watched that. And then I looked at you and I go, you are not even the same person. You are,
Mm.
you are 100% different
Way
person.
different, man. Yeah,
than you
it's
were then. And
I
and
don't
that's
know that guy anymore.
yeah, and that's really where some people are making that choice, and we're shifting, we're changing, and other people are hanging on to the ego and the past and the other stuff, and that whole world is collapsing.
It is,
It's free
on
falling.
a yeah, free falling. It's on a personal level. I've experienced it already, and maybe that's my goal is to help the planet now. I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to help my audience do the same. I mean, I had to let go of everything. My life got nuked,
Yeah,
and I had to pick up the pieces and start over and rebuild who I am today.
yeah, I've gone through that two or three times, but it's funny. But every time, everything comes back like tenfold. Whatever I thought I lost just comes back, and I just give it up. I go, okay, I'm done. This isn't for me anymore, and then create something else. And I can't believe where I'm at
You know,
now.
I got this tattoo, right? I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
It's the Phoenix,
Uh-huh.
and I thought it meant when I got it that I was going to have a huge comeback in boxing and return, like the Phoenix, right? That's what was going on in my mind. Boy, was I wrong. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, wait, I'm going to completely that's not boxing. It means birth out of ashes, and it means you're not coming back in the same form at all.
Yeah.
Not even close, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
I love
that's,
that. There's a saying, man plans and God laughs. And our higher self has different plans for us. And the creator has different plans for us than our ego. And if we make our own personal connection, we're in the flow and everything just works. But if you're in the ego, all that whole identity, all your external stuff you identify with, all that stuff, it's gonna go. And you can have nice things, just don't be attached to them.
I'm not attached to anything physical. The only I
Yeah.
am attached to my parents, which we talked about that before, but
Yeah.
I can't let them go. That's hard, dude. But like physical material things, I don't give a crap about, dude. I
I
don't.
tell you what happens, eventually you realize they don't go. They never
Yeah,
go. The belief. It's the belief and the sadness and the grief, and you got to go through that, whatever
Yeah.
you need to do to go through that. But once you go through
That's
that,
my test right now.
yeah, they're on the other side. They're waiting, they're like cheerleaders on the other side, so it's like I think I told you that story. My dad, his last words were beam me up. And
Wow.
I go, why would he say beam me up? And then he just died right there. And I walked outside and I looked up, everybody was crying, in the house and everybody was upset. And I wasn't. I was relieved that he was free now. And because I saw him on the other side in his 25-year-old body and having fun. And he was just in between worlds. He had a foot in both worlds while he was hanging out. And then I walk outside and there's this beautiful turquoise light ship, and I actually got it. I got a picture of it. And then I had to totally reevaluate my idea. It's not a hamburger universe. There's not heaven and hell and the hamburger in the middle. There's light ships, there's light beings, there's energy beings, there's
Everything. It's a
pods. Yeah, there's everything going on. It's I always say, let's play a game. How big is your God and how big is your universe? And the scientists are now realizing that they're just playing around with beakers in the third dimension.
yeah,
And,
everything's
and
got to be measured according to the third dimension.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And the whatever the religious folks are realizing that maybe their book is just part. Now the Ethiopian Bible came out and it's like what, 80 something, 81 books versus 66, and has all
The Vatican has miles, what, 30 to 50 miles of underground
yeah,
documents. I mean, come on, folks.
exactly. If that was all released, that game would be over. The external God game ends, and everybody starts behaving themselves basically. But you can't say God told me to kill these people and take this land and things like that. That was the old little
Yeah.
G,
Yeah. Little G. I agree with you.
and you can't blame God for, we either blame God or we blame the devil or give credit to God for everything. And where's personal responsibility in the middle? It's like, and you can't do that either. We have to take personal responsibility.
That's why for me it's so important. I just keep it simple, James. I mean, I love having people like you on, but I keep it simple and I just believe in Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And I know that I all makes sense to me now. Why he was sent here, what he did, why he did what he did, and why it's so important. He was freeing humanity. The game's
Yeah.
already won with him. Everything
He's
that's
the
happening right now
example.
with these ships showing up and all that, that's all cute and dandy. And I know that the planet needs to go through his ships, but he already won it for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I see it.
We call him the exemplar Christ. He was the example of Christ's consciousness, the union between man and God. He was fully united with God, and they became one. And that's why he said, I myself do nothing. The Father through me doeth the works, because he ignited that spark into the full flame and became one.
Yeah.
And, and there's no division. And that was the example that his whole life, when he was born, he said, I'm the son of man. I'm the son of Joseph and Mary. And then later on, he goes, I'm a messenger from God. And he's at 12 years old, he's teaching in the temples and everything. And then later on, he says, wait a second, I'm a soul. I'm not this body. My soul came from God. I'm a son of God. And then the last thing he said, total immersion, I am God. Father and I are one. And people don't understand that's the process, that's the example of liberation that he came down and laid for us so we could see the same thing. And he said, you will do greater works than I, for I go on to the Father. How can we do greater works if we don't have the same opportunity to do what he did? I mean, and that's, we got to get past our fear, our unworthiness, our social engineering, all that nonsense. We got to get past through all that, because you can't teach fear, guilt, and unworthiness and have the same image of an all-loving, all-forgiving God. They don't add up. And that's got to come to an end. The whole external, jealous, wrathful,
Right.
that nobody can appease, that's an old program, and that he got rid of that. He did away with that. And so I'm
I
putting my minister hat on right
no,
now.
I mean I've learned a lot in this. This is
Yeah,
incredible. Yeah,
I
this
have I
is
wear a lot of hats, but we're going to go through a phase where we're going to go through a how big is your God and how big is your universe phase. That's what we're going through right now. And who are we? in relationship. Do we have the potential to merge, with the one consciousness that encompasses all consciousness and all planes and dimensions throughout the multiverse? I mean, that's what Jesus told us. So that's basically where we're going. We're expanding in consciousness right now.
Well, James, I appreciate you coming on. This has been an epic podcast, man. I love talking to you. And I guess there's more to talk about.
I want to say one more thing that I know that one thing you were trying to get to, but I think these next 2 weeks are going to be insane. They're
the
going
next
to be
2 weeks.
and change is happening in the next 2 weeks and through September. All through September, things are going to be happening so fast, and then by November, we'll totally have our country back, and the foundation will be set for universal law, and a lot of other leaders are all on board to make this happen. They look like they're fighting right now, but that's theater. But it's all going to come together.
Beautiful. James, thank you so much. Where do people go to find you?
Yeah, if you go to the website, it's eseti.org, or just go. You can go on Rumble, ESETI Stargate on Rumble, YouTube, X. We're on everything out there. So if you just type ESETI Stargate or eseti.org, and you can get all the information. And then we have our own radio shows. We have ESETI TV, which has all these documentaries on it. We have everything on there for if people want to check it out. And it was really weird. I just listened to an old video of mine in the 90s, and I said this very same thing back in the early 90s. So we've been doing this for over 40 years, and now it's finally happening. Now everything we've been talking about is finally happening.
Beautiful. Thank you, James. Thank you for joining
All
me.
right.
Stay
Thank
with
you.
me just
Thanks
one
for having
moment.
me on the show.
Stay with me just one moment.